Special thanks to the Christian Children's Home of Ohio for sponsoring the third place. For more information, go to ccho.org. That's ccho.org.
Christian Children's Home of Ohio provides a safe environment where children can find healing, discover hope, and experience unconditional love through certified trauma therapies designed to meet the needs of each child. Our 165-acre Worcester campus includes 4 cottages that are home to as many as 46 at-risk youth whose lives have been turned upside down by abuse, neglect, and trauma. We focus on helping residents build skills to live productive lives and reintegrate back into the community.
This is the Third Place podcast, recording from the JLP CPAs sponsored studio. I'm Brian Dolan, and there she is, Lauren Cuevas.
Home is your first place, work is your second place, and this is your third place, where the Christian community gathers.
And then we're going to go to Lauren's workplace.
My second place.
We are going to your second place. So you work at City Mission, for people who don't know, and you basically run the place.
Not even close.
But you work directly with the CEO of the City Mission.
Yes, I'm her executive assistant.
And you texted me a while back, and you were like, hey, we should come over here and record.
Yeah.
Tell the backstory here. Why did you want us to do that?
Because I wanted to get some of our frontline workers who are actually working with our residents at Laura's Home and City Mission. And they're working in the middle of the day. They can't, come all the way out here, so...
Yeah, and one of them coined a new phrase for you and your disposition at the office, which was my very favorite.
Yeah.
And can you tell that story? Like why he called you that?
I emailed him and asked him to be on the podcast with us. Didn't reply. And actually, Linda suggested him. And I told him that. I was like, Linda said you'd be really good. Didn't reply. Emailed again. Didn't reply. So then I went over to his office. It's in a different building. He wasn't there. So then I left a Post-it note on his door and said, please look at Lauren's emails. And then everyone that was at the office was like, oh, he's probably at lunch. And I was like, I'll go find him at lunch. So I walked my way over to the lunch building.
You got to do your thing that you do. Like you pointed at him, right?
Yeah, I walked in and I said, you're not answering my emails.
And what did he do?
And he knew. I mean, he looked at my eyes and he knew why I was coming for him.
And I don't remember if you said it on camera.
He turned and looked at me and he's like, I know.
Well, he was nervous.
Yes.
He was feeling nervous about being on the podcast. But when I was at City Mission, and you're going to see some of these conversations here in just a moment, he referred to you as aggressively nice.
Well, what can I say?
I liked how he phrased that.
Because I was very like, no, Ray, you're the best person for this. You can do it. It's going to be fine. But I also barged into the cafeteria and pointed at him and said, you're not answering my emails.
And you only been working there for like a month.
6 weeks, thank you.
There you go. Well, and it was an easy yes for me to drive to City Mission and do those recordings because you know how passionate we both are about people experiencing homelessness. And I just go crazy when people mischaracterize poverty and the poor and those experiencing homelessness. It drives me crazy. And Christians are some of the worst at this because I don't think it's easier for us as believers to not have to care about a problem if we can find a way to dismiss it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, those poor are lazy, so I don't have to care.
Right.
Wrong. I mean, the Bible makes it so clear that we're to care about those who are in poverty, and we ought to be generous with them. So we spend time talking about these guys' stories. We talked to Linda Uveges about an executive order. So I guess we should just get right to it, huh?
Yep.
All right, so here's our time at City Mission in Cleveland.
Okay, you need to hurry up.
Goodness gracious.
Linda's a busy lady. Ooh, it's hot. This is not nice.
You just get to go in this garage.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is the warehouse.
You're like I'm backstage.
Can you hold this?
I feel like I'm back playing basketball with my squeaky shoes, too. Oh. I was hoping I'd get like a badge or something.
No. Sorry. We don't do that.
I'm going right to Linda's office.
Yeah.
Is it in the corner?
No.
No?
No.
Well, that's not okay.
Hello?
Hi. Good to see you.
See you too.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
And us, I should say.
Brian, why don't you sit right there?
So we're here with our friend Linda Uveges, CEO of City Mission. And today we have a really interesting thing to talk about because I love whenever the news or politicians, whoever they are, talk about homelessness. Because I think oftentimes they go on presuppositions of what they think are true or what people tell them are true. Why not go to a place that serves people on a daily basis experiencing homelessness? And again, just for those who aren't aware, how long has the City Mission been operating?
Sure. The City Mission has been here in Cleveland for 115 years. In October, we're celebrating 115 years. It's amazing.
And how many people are you housing each night across all your facilities?
So close to, let me do the math on that, probably because I know you're really good at math.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I already got scared when you said you're doing math.
Yes, about 250 individuals, men, women, and children every night.
Every night. And you, as I recall, you have that like Cinderella story or like movie tale. You started overnight security?
Yes.
And now you run the place? No, you started as a volunteer.
I started as a volunteer, with my husband and our 5 kids. And then they hired me as a security guard at our women's facility, which I just loved, being on the front line, caring for those who are suffering from a crisis, whether it's domestic violence, addiction, mental health, all of those things. And so then they hired me to work in the kitchen, and that was great. And the story just, each step being able to serve in different capacities and different roles. And today I have been serving in the CEO role for the last 4 years.
So you've seen every level of this. You've seen up close and personal for many years what homelessness actually is and why it happens and such. Okay, so just recently, the president issued an executive order, and it is an action to end crime and disorder on America's streets. And part of it has to do with homelessness. And so I have a fact sheet here from the White House, from whitehouse.gov. Not like I went there and said, hey guys, give me the fact sheet. No, from the internet, whitehouse.gov. And they do a couple of things here in kind of laying out kind of the facts after they lay out what the executive order does. And I think it's important as a believer to make sure we're operating on solid facts before we make conclusions. Okay, so starts off indicating that in the last year of the Biden administration, there was 274,224 people experiencing homelessness in a single night. I mean, that number sounds about right, doesn't it, from what you've talked about?
And it is the highest number that we've seen over the years since they've been tracking the number of people living on the street or experiencing homelessness.
And what is that like in Cleveland? How many people per night do you think?
So in Cleveland, it's about 250 individuals that are on the street in tent encampments, different places. But the mayor has an initiative, a home for every neighbor, which they've been able to house about 150 of those individuals.
Wow.
So I just think I'm grateful for the mayor who is taking that initiative. And he says himself, I'm not sure this will work, but we're going to try. We're going to do something. We're not going to just sit around and allow people to suffer on the streets and in these tent encampments.
And I love when Christian organizations partner with secular or government for the common good. It's something we can easily do and we should be doing. So I love that you're working closely with him on that.
Absolutely.
Now, here's the next statement from the White House I want your response to. The overwhelming majority of these individuals who are homeless are addicted to drugs, having a mental health disorder, or both. How would you characterize that in your experience?
That's right on, unfortunately. That is exactly who we serve. As you know, we see many individuals who are on the street because of mental illness. And some of those situations are they can't afford the medication, so they're not taking the medication that would help them, or they don't like the way it makes them feel. And so then they stop using medication, or their mental illness is so severe, they're really not able to keep track of that or know that they're supposed to take that medication. So certainly mental health, mental illness is a big factor. And then also addiction is a big concern that we see quite often. And I would just say also trauma. individuals have experienced severe trauma in their lives. Nobody chooses to live on the street and in a tent encampment. That's not a choice that they say, I just someday, when I grow up, I'm going to go live in a tent on the street in Cleveland.
Right.
That's not true. And so these are individuals who have felt that there's no other option for them.
And now, just from my own understanding, the individuals who are not in a shelter like the City Mission, this would characterize their condition. But people who come to you, would you characterize the people that come here the same way? That it's primarily those addicted to drugs and experiencing a mental health disorder?
I would. That is the majority of who we serve. And again, the trauma, I would say, in addition to that, we see a lot. I would never say that's all who we serve, right? It's very unique. Everybody has a unique story. It could be financial situation, they've lost their home, or generational poverty, which we see that quite often. And so we address all of those on an individual basis. But the majority, I would say, it is not a stretch to say that 90% of our residents that we serve are struggling with some type of mental illness and addiction.
Now, when it comes to the mental illnesses you see, I think the movies characterize it as every single homeless person experiencing homelessness is schizophrenic, and they're talking to themselves. But when we say mental illness, that could be a wide range, right, of what someone's going through?
Absolutely. It's a spectrum, right? So there's depression, bipolar, personality disorder, or disassociation. So there's so many diagnoses that I would never say, oh, they're all this one thing. So there's a wide spectrum from something, I guess, maybe as, I don't want to say minimal, I never want to minimize somebody's situation, but struggling with depression over years. And again, the bipolar, or just anxiety, and all of those things are diagnoses for sure.
So with that in mind, the president issued an executive order, and it would be so boring if I came in here and tried to read the legalese. We've got the executive summary here, but I know this impacts your work. I mean, how could you help us understand what the president is trying to do with this executive order when it comes to homelessness?
So since 2013, there's been an initiative called Housing First, and that has been implemented through HUD. So Housing and Urban Development through, the White House. And the goal was to make homelessness infrequent and brief. So Housing First was the initiative. So a lot of money has been poured into that model. Because of that, if we did take government funding, we would, there would be a short stay, 30 to 45 days. If we took
it's a requirement.
Right, it's a requirement. So,
but you don't take government funding, so you're not under that.
So we're not tied to that. But the Housing First says brief and infrequent. So 30 to 45 days, that's how long an individual can stay in the shelter. And so that was the initiative. They have put billions of dollars into this program. And our approach and what we see is different. And what this executive order is saying is that is not the priority of how we're going to be funding programs going forward. And the president has said that this Housing First approach is not working. We have the highest number of homeless on the street, so and in shelters forever. So what's not working? We keep throwing money, and it's not solving. It's not ending homelessness. So the new model is going to be funding programs that are treatment focused, that are a long-term model focus, that has been proven over time that this is how we need to address the root causes of homelessness. And Housing First did not do that, but I'm sure it was successful for some. I would never say, oh, that's a terrible model for everybody. It helps some. But for those that need more wraparound services and supportive services, we need to have more more program to really help them and get to the root causes, because we don't want this to be a revolving door. We want to solve this for that individual and break the cycle of poverty and homelessness. So now going forward, the initiative is going to be defunding some of these housing first models and now putting more effort into recovery and also the long-term models of supportive services. And Dr. Marbut, he was the USICH president in Trump's first term, and its USICH is United States Interagency Council for Homelessness. So
I'm glad you can remember
lots.
that.
I know. I know. So he was saying, and I completely agree. It's easy to get high and hard to get recovery. He goes, it's got to be the opposite. It's got to be easy to get into recovery and hard to get high. It's backwards. So the problem is we've got to have organizations or facilities that provide that kind of care so that we can care for those individuals. It's very controversial. It really, I'm not going to, lie about that. It's controversial because with this order, the local police, the law, officials can arrest somebody who's on the street, who is severely mentally ill, and say, we need you to get help, and we're going to take you into a recovery program. If they resist, they'd have to take steps, to how do we get this individual in get some help and into recovery, instead of being on the street, living an undignified lifestyle, and let's give them opportunity for recovery and change.
Yeah, and this is where, I mean, I'm with you that it's there's almost a quagmire of sorts, where I've mentioned to you before that I have a cousin who's experienced periods of homelessness because of mental health. And it's almost impossible to get him institutional help against his will.
Right.
And the nature of his mental illness makes it so that he doesn't think he needs help.
Right.
And yet we've seen in the past, right, when there were entire institutions built to house people with mental health issues, there were so many abuses. And people were in there when they shouldn't be. They were over medicated. And because you don't want it to be too easy to get someone institutionalized. You also don't want it to be too hard. And then on top of that, I start to wonder, well, like, do these facilities exist?
Right.
Like, if we're going to shift from housing first, where would the police take them?
Right.
Do we have places yet, or we have to wait for the infrastructure to be built?
We have to wait for the infrastructure. There isn't enough beds or organizations or facilities to help all these individuals. That's where I have a problem with this, because, okay, I agree. I don't want people suffering on the street, and let's get them to a dignified place where we can provide the help that they need. And the problem is, where is that? Because the hospitals are limited to how many mental health beds they can have and they can offer, and that's a legal thing. So they would be overflowing with the number of people that need that kind of help. And so I like an approach to deal with the root causes, and let's really work with that individual. But how is that going to happen? And I think there's a lot of work to be done yet to figure that out, because I agree with you. We're not going back to insane asylums and institutionalizing individuals against their will. That's not okay. Yet it's not okay for them to be out there harming themselves or being a harm to others potentially. So it is a really serious issue and a critical issue that needs to be addressed. But we've already spent billions on this housing first. Let's spend some money on these facilities or recovery or addiction resources to offer to individuals that really will help the underlying causes of their situation.
And I mean, I would like to see Congress take more action to put some parameters around this, only because one natural outcome of this, whether or not President Trump is in office,
Mhm.
is that we could move quickly back to institutions, insane asylums.
Yes.
And that's what they would become. And for
Right.
people who don't remember, I mean, the abuses were wild. I mean, there were husbands who could institutionalize their wives
Yes.
just because they didn't like them anymore. And people could end up so highly medicated and when they didn't need to be.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, the common thing I'll hear from people is, of course, frustration that all these tax dollars are spent on things like this.
Mhm.
And they go, well, you know what? The church should take care of this. That's the solution. The church should handle this.
Mhm.
Is that, I mean, what do you think?
Well, the church, they are not experts in mental health.
That's true.
And we aren't. I mean, you know, the city mission, we use providers and partners to help us with that because we know our limitations. But I do think the church can help in other ways. There's lots of opportunity, you know, whether it's volunteering or, hey, raising awareness and education. So one thing that we do is try to educate the churches on homelessness and mental health and trauma. They need to know and not make assumptions that everybody is lazy and chosen this and they're just, you know, relying on the government and not trying to make their lives any better. That's just not true. So,
well, and in theory, the church could also fund the creation of faith-based recovery programs.
Yes.
They could fund psychiatric facilities.
Yes.
That are designed to be short-term.
Mm-hmm.
We could do all these things.
Yes.
I just get so frustrated by the people who flippantly just go, well, the church should do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
well, they're not.
Right.
So either they should start, or we're going to have to wait, dare I say, years for these facilities the government's talking about.
I know.
As you redirect, think about even just redirecting funds.
Mm-hmm.
Me trying to get a permit to drive a school bus has been like the biggest bureaucratic mess of my life. I can imagine moving all these funds and then getting the contracts in place, building them. And in the meantime, places like City Mission are just faithfully serving.
Sure. And, you know, I was talking to somebody in LA and talking about permitting. Like, if you really cared about let's get these facilities or recovery resources available, remove the permit requirements because it's incredibly laborious. And why not do that here? You know what? We know what you guys are doing. We're gonna remove some of those restrictions that slow things down and make it very, you know, bureaucratic. And let's give you a clear path and a quick path to get these things done. That's what they need to do. Why not?
Well, it makes me think of one more layer too that we encountered talking to someone who works with ministry, Mike Swiger here in town, works for True Freedom Ministries.
Yep.
And how challenging it is because of lack of education about formerly incarcerated people, homeless people experiencing homelessness. We get scared of that population. So when they've tried to create facilities to help people who are, you know, nonviolent offenders, the Christian community gets in an uproar.
Right.
And they refuse to allow those to be built nearby. So we'd have to keep in mind that would we be comfortable as followers of Christ having a psychiatric facility in our neighborhood?
Right. Well, right. The NIMBY, right? Not in my backyard. That's what they call it, NIMBYism. And people do not want that. And I've talked to Mike before where he's tried to put, you know, some housing. No way.
No way.
Not going to have formerly incarcerated individuals. And we had a hard time building Laura's home, to be honest, because it used to be Glen Bay Hospital. And when we renovated and we had to talk to the neighborhood, they were not, because it's in a neighborhood. There's houses behind us. And they're like, I don't know. This is a homeless shelter in my backyard. I mean, that's not the Christian population, but in general, it's in general the population who does not want that in their backyard.
And this is why I'm sure you do too, get so frustrated by the church should take care of it.
Right.
And then, okay, fine, let's say the church did. Will you allow them to build in your neighborhood? Well, not here.
Right.
You should go over there.
Yes.
As believers, we have to confront every level of thought in issues like homelessness that is so complicated, where ideas are great, but actually implementing them is another story.
Right.
Which the City Mission has been so successful doing.
Yeah.
We love what you all are doing.
Thank you. And I was thinking too, it's not even, there are communities here that are wealthier communities. they don't accept anybody to use a voucher in their city. So our women will get vouchers, housing vouchers, and they are able to find a home, but only in certain neighborhoods. Not every neighborhood.
Oh yeah, no,
It's not okay.
I was just speaking with someone who runs a homeless shelter in Lake County,
Mm-hmm.
and similar experience. There are just no homes available that
Right.
accept vouchers
Mm-hmm.
as someone is trying to get on their feet again.
Yes. Yeah.
So what are we supposed to do as a society? It's like, well, you can't live here, but
Yeah.
I'm glad you're getting better.
Right. Well, it's really I took a class at Cleveland State. It's a source of income discrimination. So you're discriminating based on their source of income.
Right.
And that is a problem. And it really is, in some cities, it's illegal. So more cities, more, neighborhoods are being forced to not have that policy, as it should be. So that's interesting. But they're discriminating based on their income.
See, we have to let our convictions from Christ fully develop in our hearts to all their logical conclusions.
Yeah.
And then we can truly be people that transform a community. I mean, imagine if I've heard of Christians who moved near a church in the city, for example. They want to really be a part of an urban environment. What if we did that, where we all got together and said, we believe in eradicating homelessness so much that we're going to allow for these facilities to be in our neighborhood and a lot of transitional housing.
Right.
It's a radical idea, but I think it's truly a Christ-focused idea.
It is. That is. And I heard someone say that, I think it was my former pastor, but, Jesus moved into the neighborhood. He didn't stay outside of the neighborhood. He moved into the neighborhood. And what are we going to do?
Very well said. Again, Linda Uveges, CEO of City Mission, thank you so much for your passion and your great work.
Thanks, Brian.
And remind people how to find you in case I forget to tell them.
Okay, sure. So on our website, thecitymission.org, and everything is on there, whether you want to volunteer, employment opportunities, anything. That our greatest needs of what we need for our kids and the men and the women. We're going to be approaching the cold weather pretty soon. I know that sounds a little crazy to say right in August, but we plan ahead and we think ahead. So we know we have a lot of needs for our residents, and we love to take care of them with the love of Christ.
Wonderful. Thanks for all you do and for your time today.
Thank you.
So why don't you start off by telling us your name and your role here at the City Mission?
Okay, sure. My name is Raymond Mills, aka Ray Mills, and I'm the intake coordinator, intake specialist here at the City Mission.
So I'm assuming if it's an intake specialist, you're one of the first people that someone meets when they come in for help.
Yeah, I'm the individual that speaks with each resident that comes through the door. Do the intake, do the initial appointment, see what it is that they need and how we can help them.
Is there a typical conversation, or are they each super unique? How would you describe that?
Well, they're unique because the unique thing about the City Mission is that we help all people. We're not specific to addiction or mental health. We try to help each individual that comes through the door, whatever their crisis is.
So can you give us kind of like perhaps a story you remember of a recent resident who came and needed some help? Like what brought them here? Like why did they finally decide they needed help from a place like the City Mission?
Well, each situation is a bit unique. Because we help all people, people come in with different issues. For example, we have people that come in with, addiction issues. So we partner with different agencies that we could, get intake. We could get assessments with these individuals to see if we can help them get treatment, individual treatment, IOP, or individual counseling, or anything of that nature. If there's a person that has a severe mental health issue, sometimes we contact people that could give them a higher level of care. So, yeah.
Because we don't have the capacity to handle someone who has severe mental health issues, who's not going to be able to take part in the community here.
Right. So I do coordinate with different agencies. So that one of the things that I try to do is I try not to let a person come here and not get help at all. If they need a higher level of care, then I'll reach out to other agencies and get them placed in other agencies that maybe have clinicians or people that could deal with the type of issues that they have. It's not like I'll say, hey, we can't help you. You got to go.
Get out.
Get out. We'll try to reach out to other agencies and try to get them the help that they need.
How many people come through here in a day?
Well, normally what we do is we schedule appointments.
Gotcha.
And I'll usually try to spend about an hour with each resident that comes to the door. If in fact a person misses an appointment, if there's a walk-up, I'll bring a walk-in and I'll do an interview with that individual. And if they program appropriate, we'll get them in. We'll get them into the program, the system, or whatever they need. So typically, see, one of the things, in my role, what I try to do, because we never know what a person been through to bring them here, or respond to life the way that they do. So, and that's the cool thing about the city mission is that we try to meet people wherever they are. A lot of times when individuals come in, they won't necessarily talk to us about, in the beginning, they won't talk to us about, the nature of what their issues are. And over time, what I do is when they come and they talk to me, they'll be their arrival and stability phase, so to speak, where I'll sit down and I'll explain to them what our program components are, what our program expectations are, and then we'll go from there and see if this is something that they want to do, and if so, we'll move forward. We'll get them into our mission tracker. We'll get all the information that we need to get them into our program. If in fact they're not a program appropriate, we'll still assist them. We'll do what we call an outreach for them, meaning that we'll contact other agencies, and if in fact we can get them into an in-house agency. For example, if somebody comes in with a severe addiction, we want them to come into our program, but we want to get them detox or inpatient treatment to address that if it's severe, and then we'll get them back into our program. So if there's a mental health issue, for instance, and they need medication, we do coordinate with another agency where they can get their medication that day after having an assessment, and get them back to us. Or we'll get them to a short-term mental health facility so they can get stable on their medication, and so that they can be program appropriate and be able to meet our program expectations and get them back in here to us.
So now you're interacting every day with people who are experiencing homelessness.
Every day.
And the more I've done ministry in this community, the more I've developed my own pet peeves about misconceptions about people experiencing homelessness. What are some of the things that drive you crazy about misunderstandings people have about those experiencing homelessness here in Cleveland area?
That they're bad people, that they're losers, that they can do better. And, just based on my experience alone and sitting down and talking to some of the people, a lot of the people, a lot of the men that I sit down and speak with, a lot of times they've been brought up through an environment that most young people shouldn't have. And they bring a lot of those unresolved issues and never having a healthy way to deal with them into their adulthood. So a lot of people don't understand why people respond to life the way that they do. And a lot of it comes from childhood and the environment that, they come up in. So that's a misconception. And, let's say we get a guy that comes here and he cleans up well. And you'll never know. He don't look like what he's been through. And he still has some issues that's going on inside of him. Yeah. There's some people who don't come through crisis center who suffer from some of the same issues. They just haven't come up in the same type of environment. They had a support, maybe from family members or friends, to help navigate through those issues or whatever they have, opposed to some of the men that come to us. That's why we're here.
Now, somebody might say to you, though, well, I had a rough upbringing, too. My dad was mean to me. What are these people worried about? I turned out okay.
Well, I would say to those people, it just seems that way. There may be some other underlying issues that other person may be experiencing. You know, you may have come up in that same type of, or with those same type of issues, but maybe this person has a deeper level of mental health issues, or maybe been through some things that you may not have experienced. So everybody's experience is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So
now, there's a misconception for decades about the type of people who are trying to get assistance for free. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, I bet a lot of them are just either lazy or scammers. Like they're coming in here trying to trick you that they're a drug addict, or they're just like, hey, look, I don't want to work. I want to come in here and hang out and eat. How often do you encounter lazy or scammers coming in here?
Well, until someone shows me that that's who they really are, I go with what they tell me. I don't have a crystal ball to look into to say that this individual, that's who that person is. So we're just going to help you. If that's what motivates you, if you're a scammer, or it's not going to hurt us in the long run to serve you. So yeah, we do run into people who are just opportunists, I'm sure. But it's not my call to say you don't need the help.
And it's not common, as I understand it, right? I mean, most people who come here actually need help with something, as opposed to like, I'm just tired of working.
Well, most people come in thinking that is their problem. That they need a job, they need a house, they need clothing, all the things that we provide for them. We need this, we need that. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of the men, the issues are a little bit deeper than just needing a job or a place, because if that was the case, if it was just a job or a place, everybody could get that.
That's right.
Right? And everybody could maintain that. So it's deeper issues than just not having a job and not having a place. Why don't you have a job and why don't you have a place? Let's get to the root of that. And so we have groups, and we have, like I said, we got different agencies that help us get to the core issues as to why you're in this situation and why you're in this crisis in the first place.
So now, I know the Christian community, as well as just the community here at large, support City Mission. I don't know if people realize, but there are a lot of people who are not believers who support in a big way the City Mission. What can the Christian community do, in your estimation, to do more for those experiencing homelessness and for the City Mission? Well,
one of the things that I believe is that empathy has to be the cornerstone of how we approach this crisis with the people that we have in this situation. Having the capacity to put ourselves in these individuals' shoes without judging them, first of all.
Yeah.
Again, we know, I'm a big proponent of, we never know what a person's been through to make them respond in life the way that they do. And I believe that as a Christian community, we have to bring it outside of the church. It's okay that we get together and we fellowship on Sundays, have Bible studies on Wednesdays, but this is like it's not an event when we approach the homeless community like we can do it one time and it'll be all over with. It's an ongoing process. It's something that we have to work at. Like it's like a humanitarian type approach to things where it helps us more than it helps them. And I believe that God honors what we do for other people. And I know it's been my experience that since I've been doing what I do, that all my needs has been met. Because I believe in taking care of God's people, and He takes care of me. And I believe from a Christian standpoint of view, it's rewarding in that way. So I would say to the Christian community, let's be a little bit more hands-on. We appreciate, and I'm sure I don't work at the capacity that some of our organizational people do in administration as far as donations and things are concerned, but we appreciate all that you do. We wouldn't be able to do it without those good Christian people who believe in what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate I'm able to look outside of what I do and appreciate that as well. So, and that's not to take away. So I say that to say not to take away from what's going on with the Christian community. We appreciate what they're doing.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Now, how many years you been an intake specialist?
About 10.5 years.
10.5 years. Okay. Do you have a favorite story of someone who came to help?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a favorite story that stands out about somebody you were able to help, or a situation where someone came in, something that really sticks out in your mind that's happened?
Well, there's several. We do have, and I'm always, I you know, I always like rooting for the underdog. I'm the guy who likes the guys who come in that's real tough and real, and I know that it's just a wall. I know, and most men that come in with those type of characteristics are really just afraid to let people know who they really are.
Yeah.
And so it's always a lot of fun to see that transformation. There's one individual, we've had a couple people, but one of the individuals that stands out to me, and for the sake of not breaking his anonymity, his first name was Foster. And he was here, and I remember he came in, and he was a big high school athlete, big time high school athlete who ran into tough times and got involved into using drugs and that lifestyle, and he ended up in the streets homeless. And when he came here, he had a really big hustle mentality. It's like any way I could hustle people. If I need to sell pops or cigarettes or things of that nature, and we would talk to Foster about these things. And long story short, over a period of time, Foster started getting more involved in our chapel, and he became quite humble, if you will, and he turned that around and he got saved. And shortly after, Foster passed away.
Oh,
He passed away in the facility, and I happened to be working. It was on a Sunday, and I happened to be working, and Foster will always be one of those people that I'll remember. That he gave his life to Christ before he left the city mission. So that's one of those stories that was a win for us.
wow.
So yeah, and there's several more stories like that.
Why don't you tell us another one?
There and one of the cool things about the mission is that we believe in second, third, maybe fourth chances. So I had another individual. His name was Jerome, and he would come, and he was just a great person. He's a great person, and he couldn't leave a bottle alone. He would come here, and he would be good, and then Jerome would leave, and he'd go off and get wasted. We send him to treatment, and this went on for a while until finally one time Jerome came here and he just got it right. And I was able to. We have what we call a president's gathering. I was able to attend this president's gathering that we had, that the city mission had back some years back. And I was able to talk about Jerome. And now Jerome is doing quite well. He actually owns a recovery house.
Oh,
So he went from not being able to drink, coming into the city mission, giving his life to Christ, and now he owns and operates a recovery house where he helps other individuals who struggles with addiction and alcoholism. So
wow.
yeah, and every now and then he'll hit me up on a text and tell me how much he appreciates the help that we gave him. So now the thing about it is not we don't it's not every situation. Sometimes it's real challenging. It's more than a notion, because I've served thousands of people since I've been here, thousands of men, and we don't always have a success story. It would be unrealistic to believe that everybody would leave out like Foster or Jerome. But it's men like Foster and Jerome that make it worth it.
That's right.
And
you can't force someone
right.
to make the choices that are necessary to get in recovery or follow the program that you bring them through.
Right. And I learned that a long time ago. You can't make anybody do anything.
That's right.
And like I always like to remind, our guys, it's like when we come here and when I sit down and talk to each individual, it's like, please don't let this be a waste of time. Take advantage of everything that's available to you and be patient, because nothing happens overnight. It happens over time. And our goal is is for it's for us to introduce you to God, introduce you to Christ, and for you to introduce yourself to Christ before you leave here. So that's one of our goals. So yeah, it's those type of stories, Jerome and Foster, that makes everything worthwhile. In addition to how God takes care of us for honoring what we do for Him.
Well, and I love that you pointed out that you all will do second, third, fourth chances, fifth chances. I think a lot of people with like a worldly conscience, even Christians fall victim to this, right? Where it's like, no, I gave you a chance, we're done. It's accountability.
Yeah.
But in reality, what the Lord does for us,
exactly,
He gives us 11th, 12th, 15th chances.
If He did,
I know He does for me.
Where would we be?
Right.
We wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we need stories like what you're doing at City Mission to remind us that, no, the Lord does do the same thing for us. And His calling for us is to live that out with other people, even if it's the fourth, fifth, sixth chance. Because at some point, we don't know what God's going to do. Maybe it's going to become a story where someone's going to be the next Jerome. It's going to help somebody out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I've been here long enough to see it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite rewarding. It really is. And at this phase in my personal life, I couldn't see myself doing anything other than what I'm doing here.
Wow.
So I'm super grateful for the City Mission for allowing me to have the role that I have here. If someone would have told me years ago that I would have the life that I have, Brian, I would have said, thanks for believing in me, but you got the wrong guy. So I'm super grateful for this opportunity.
Yeah. And thank you for the great work that you're doing.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And thanks for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You bet.
Thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Ray.
Okay.
Before we continue on with our conversations at City Mission, we need to take a moment and thank our sponsors here of the Third Place podcast. First of all, special thanks to our sponsor, JLP CPAs. They're a fantastic Northeast Ohio, Hudson-based firm of accountants who do lots of things, but their specialty, I mean, they'll do the taxes and everything for you at the end of the year, but their specialty is for small businesses. And if you are a small business owner, you know you wear a dozen hats, and they don't want taxes, payroll, financial reporting, all that to be one of those things that stresses you out as a small business owner. So one of their specialties is caring for all of that for you. They take care of all that when you are working, or have them work for you, not work for them. You know what I mean? So you want to go check it out? We would highly encourage you to check out JLP CPAs. We're thankful for their sponsorship of the Third Place. Go to jlpcpas.com, jlpcpas.com. Now, your accounting is paid for. Are you stressed about your finances? Budgeting, investing, retirement. I mean, you're not over there like, Brian, hold on a minute. I'm trading some stocks.
No.
And you also
I just
wouldn't
put it in the one place and then I don't ever look at it again.
Yeah, I intentionally don't look at it.
Yeah.
And you also would have been like, Brian, you wouldn't be like deeper voiced like I did.
Right.
Hey, Brian, I'm over here trading my stocks. So Edgewater Investment Group and our friend Dave Safransky would be a wonderful option for you. They are not high pressure. They're steady, reliable, and they give you budgeting, investment, retirement advice, and that we're thrilled they're one of our sponsors. If you want to help plan your future and get some guidance from professionals, go to edgewaterig.com, edgewaterig.com. Next, did you know I have a brand new morning show?
Woohoo.
I'd say we, but you're not on it. No. So it's just me.
Yes.
It's on the
you
Upliftd.
Feel bad about that.
And I know you don't. You have plenty of things to do. But anyway, I have a brand new morning show with our friends at KHCB in Houston. They have an online stream called Upliftd. And I will be hosting Upliftd Mornings with Brian. It's launching on August 25th, and it's from 6 to 8 Central, 7 to 9 Eastern. And we're going to have lots of music, and it's going to be scripture and stories. And I'm sure I'll talk about Cody, my donkey. He's kind of becoming my mascot of sorts. People love him. And if you want more information, you can go to upliftedstream.org. Is up and running now. Upliftedstream.org to learn more and tune in. I'd love to have you join me. And also, we want to thank our friends at Christian Children's Home of Ohio. They were our first sponsor here on the podcast, and they've been faithful friends of ours. They help kids in crisis who've experienced deep trauma. They give them residential care and a beautiful campus, over 160 acres. I went to visit. It's amazing. And they give them trauma-informed therapy, and they also have equine therapy and all the things these kids would need. So we encourage you to go check it out and invest in what they're doing. It's really important. Go to ccho.org, ccho.org, and support their incredible work here in Ohio.
Yes.
And our podcast, you should rate it.
Yes. If you like the podcast, you can rate, review, subscribe, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Then you get a little notification when a new episode comes out. So do that if you like the show. But if you love the show, join us over on Patreon. That's where you get extra content. You get ad-free content. You get the Moron Moment, videos from Daria, and Pause for Prayer. Patreon.com/The Third Place Podcast.
All right, with that, we'll get back to our conversations at the City Mission in Cleveland. So we are with Eli Parrish, and you are a case manager here at City Mission.
Yes.
For those who don't know, tell us what a case manager does.
So a case manager helps our clients get, well, I said ours, but help clients get housing, employment. If they're having like substance abuse, help them get connected to different resources to help them be, I guess, attain sobriety. And then we have also, if they're in need of like health insurance, we help them with health insurance. We help them also get, unfortunately, because of their being unhoused, we try to also help them get SNAPs or food stamps as well as that. If they have any kids, try to push them in like right ways. So like another resource we use is Fatherhood Initiative. So again, help fathers be more prepared and what to look for. So we do that, and yeah, the list goes on and on. Like we're basically their helpmate or in this time on their transition. So
I can't even imagine having to navigate all those different bureaucracies that you're talking about.
Yeah.
If someone wants to get their driver's license renewed, it's a bit of a headache.
Yeah.
It's got to be a huge obstacle for people that are struggling to find a place to live, right? Is to even just navigate the system.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
how often do you encounter people that have like tried to get things, or maybe that's even part of the problem?
Yeah, and I'm glad you actually said that. We also provide that as well. Like help guys get birth certificates, help them get IDs, help them get Social Security. Because you'll be surprised how many people, when they're unhoused, they're just trying to survive.
That's
so
right.
Like all their personal stuff, that's like the least of their worries during that time. And so being able to help them get that and provide that for them, because it's a major need that they need when they're going to get employment, when they're going to get a house. It's like you need those basic things, especially if they're going through, like, say, for instance, CMHA, which is Cleveland Metropolitan Housing Authority. So, like, if they're going that way, like, they need those three major things. They need their license, they need or ID, they need their birth certificate, they need their Social Security. So we try to help them get those things while they're here.
Yeah, and I guess for some people who've never experienced that, it's hard to imagine, but in terms of hierarchy of needs, if you don't have food to eat or a place to stay, you're not like, let me find a safe spot for my Social Security card. Or like, where can I hide my birth certificate?
Exactly.
So, gosh, is it a challenge to get those things reissued?
It's, believe it or not, it's not. It's a challenge if they're not in Ohio. So, like, if matter of fact, I have a client right now, he coming from Kansas City. And so I'm just like, oh, we need that. And so trying to get that, and like everybody's state is different. So like it's not, Ohio, you just require certain things. Kansas may need something else. And it's just being that part. And then unfortunately, if a person is adopted, that's a whole nother case of trying to figure out like what we're going to do, how can we see if they don't remember their biological parent, if they were dropped off, say like at a old school, they say drop off at a fire station, or was admitted to foster care immediately after being born, and so that's difficult. So and then also, not trying to like be too much on this subject, but if they was like, we have some people that's because our clients, their ages are a variety. So like if they was like born, if they're like 70 years old, so born like 50s or something like that, some of them, they had like home births. So that's a whole nother, it just be like a lot of, depending on what their situation and where they're coming from, it can really be difficult or it can be easy. So
well, now, and those are some of the logistical challenges of finding yourself in that circumstance. But with all the people you worked with, is there kind of like a list you could make of these are the biggest issues people face that end up pressing them into homelessness?
Usually, I'll tell you the top three for sure.
Yeah.
Substance abuse, whether it be drugs or alcohol, that be one of the main things coming from prison. If they've been in prison for a long time, that's another situation we face with. And then lastly is mental health. Some of the guys, I would say 30% of my caseload has been guys with either ADHD, bipolarness, schizophrenia, or anything outside of that. Like it's been, or having leaving autism. It's like that's been a difficult thing because they're not taking their meds on time, or they're not getting their shots. So they end up getting thrown out, or if they're suffer from depression because their anxiety got bad and they didn't take their meds, so they end up losing a house, or losing their home that way. So I would say them like the top three. Yeah.
Well, and I think that prison one is something to pause on for a minute here, because I don't know, I guess people presume that you leave prison and they hand you your stuff and I don't know, a couple $100.
Yeah.
But what actually happens that would, somebody might go, why would they end up leaving prison and coming here? Goodness sakes.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it's depending on what they went to prison for. So like majority of our guys that, we serve coming from prison are sex offenders. So they can't be around certain people. They can't be around kids. They can't be around certain family members. So their family, they expect to take care of them when they come out of prison or help them get a foot up. They're like, no, you can't come here. Or they're not able to. Or even if it's some is court ordered, they need to come and complete a program in order to go back out into society. So it once again depends on the situation coming from prison. So
well, and I don't know how far down this road you want to go, but some people, right, will go, well, don't be a sex offender then if you don't want to struggle with this. At the same time, like as a Christ follower, I have to have compassion for someone. And when you get that status, can you talk about how hard it is to find a place to live if you're a registered sex offender?
It is, difficult. They have, depending on their tiers. So there's three types of tiers. You got tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 3, you're basically labeled as a pedophile, and you can't find housing for them. And
like you can't
at all. We refer them to a boarding house. So they have to go live at, basically if a person has a house they're renting out, kind of like an Airbnb type situation, but it's just a long-term stay for them. So they will have to go to a boarding house. Tier 2s and I'll say tier 1. And let me back up with that. With tier 1s, they have to register for 15 years. Tier 2s, 25 years. Tier 3s, their life. So they can't, they got it any place they move, they got to register. But with that, they cannot be in certain places. And I think the line that's hard between this is with sex offenders, you never know, and they be coming to our churches. And so, we want to forgive and we want to be open arms, but also we got to be like wise and understanding that. So, but to get back to your question, I believe it is easier for guys with like tier 1s and tier 2s to get housing But we most likely refer them to boarding houses. So tier ones, they can go back. They usually go back with families. And after 15 years, they off the register list, and unless they commit another crime. Unfortunately, that'd be our biggest prayer once they leave here is like, Lord, help them make wise decisions and not do the same thing they do. So,
well, and that's one of those kind of rubber meets the road, love your enemies situations. How do you grapple with that? Somebody might wonder, like, gosh, your job is to help not all of them are sex, but a sex offender.
Mm-hmm.
How do you grapple with that?
Can I be transparent? If that's fine?
Absolutely. Do you think?
So when I first accepted this position, and I'm gonna get to your question, but I have to, tell you how I deal with it. So when I was young, unfortunately, I was raped by my godbrother, and so and I know everything's in God's plan. So I understand my godbrother was suffering from mental illness, and when he did it, and so once I got this position, I was just like a previous coworker told me, like, hey, you go to work with sex offenders. And then I was like, God, why are you putting me in a place that's like, man, I don't want to help somebody. Because in my mind, I was like, I go back to that victim mentality. Like, yo, I was that kid that did that. And I'm like, I got to work with them. And so in this position, God has graced me to look at them differently. It's because usually a person that's a sex offender, they've been abused in their life, whether it be about family. And it's the same story from what interviews I have did with them. It's like hurt people. And so, so when the way I deal with it is like, okay, let me help them as much because I'm in school right now getting my master's for social work. And my biggest thing is I want to help people on their journey of healing. And so that's my mentality in going into it. So if I have to work with a sex offender, if I have to work with someone that hurted somebody, it's like, okay, God, it's a part of healing because Jesus went into spaces like that people didn't want to go into, but he went into it because he seen the need. And I think that's my focus when I help. I see the need of this person, regardless of what their background. God forgive us for our past, but also it's their present moment that they need. So that's what my main focus is.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, sir.
And the point you made is pretty powerful where it is true, right? A lot of those guys were abused themselves.
Yeah.
And so in a sense, you can be a part of breaking that generational cycle.
Yes, sir.
Because I'd imagine that you sign them up to get help.
Yeah.
To recover from, even though they've served their sentence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all know the prison system isn't giving great counseling to sex offenders.
At all.
So to what extent is mental health care part of the case managing process?
So we have different resources that because we realize we're a homeless shelter and we limited in what we can do.
Yeah.
And so we try to refer out specifically, I don't know if we can name drop or not. Can we?
I don't know.
I guess
so just say partners.
Okay, so our partners, I'll just keep it at that. So our partners that we refer them to, they help them where we lacked at. So we have several partners and organizations that specifically deal with mental health and substance abuse. And so where we lack at, they can help. And the beauty thing about it is like once we connect them, like once they leave here, no matter where they go, they still are connected to our partners. So I guess that's a helpful thing, but it's up to the client because once they leave, okay, I'm free. I got my own space to do my own thing, but it's at the same time like you still want to, continue to get better. So
yeah, I mean, we can't force people to change, but we can give them an opportunity to take advantage of the services you all provide and connect them to.
Yes, sir.
So what are some of the misconceptions? I mean, you're working on your master's in social work. You're working on a daily basis with people experiencing homelessness. Mm-hmm. What are some of the misconceptions that drive you crazy that people have about homelessness?
That everybody can get a place easy. And I think what I love about our program is like we're not just trying to help you get housing, but we're trying to get you in the mindset of how did you get here? And then once we see how did you get here, let's get that part fixed. And then once we go into housing, you don't have to come back 2 years down the road, or you have to come back 3 months down the road, because that's unfortunately something that I see all the time. It's like, okay, I got housing, but then 2 months later, you back here because of what? And I'm gonna share an example real quick. Is I had a guy who recently just came back, who haven't been, graduated our program or whatever, but he was depressed, and so his depression caused him not to get up and make it to work on time, and so he ended up losing housing because he couldn't pay his rent because of depression. And while he was here, we enforced that and encouraged him, and he did it, but I think he didn't take it serious. And so then he found himself back here. And so, like I said, that's the misconception. Like, okay, you can come here, we just need to focus on getting you housing, but no, let's get you made whole while you're here.
That's right.
And so, yeah, that's one. I think people don't look at mental health as a serious component to homelessness. Because, like I said, people lose their houses because of depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, not taking their shots, and they're coming out here crazy and angry, and they're mad, and it's just like, you haven't took your stuff yet, so that's why everything is wonky in your head. Unfortunately, I hate to use it like that, but like that's what it is. So that's a misconception, and then I think the other one is, like I said, go back to substance abuse. I think the sad thing about it, of making marijuana legal as, we have this and it's like a getaway drug, but it's much deeper than that. And majority of our guys who come here, if they do anything higher than marijuana, so like cocaine, meth, PCP, it all started with marijuana.
Really? So it's like a gateway drug for these guys.
Yeah.
Gosh, and I would imagine the drugs are self-medication anyway, not just weed. This is fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Gosh. And so, I've been hearing more and more about the challenge of actually getting and finding housing. So let's just say you got a guy in your caseload.
Mm-hmm.
He's been through the program,
Mm-hmm.
really doing great. You've handled some of the deeper struggles he's got a job. So he just finds a place to live, right? Is it easy?
Yes and no.
Tell me about the no. I've been hearing more and more it's hard to find an affordable place.
It is because of the economy we had. Like, we think, a guy making $19 an hour can easily find a house, a rent that's like $800 a month, or majority of them are less. And that's another thing. Well, let me finish that thought and then I'll go back to it. So you think you can easily find something that's $800, maybe $900 a month, and you can, but it'd be in bad neighborhoods. And some of the guys like, oh, I don't want to go into that neighborhood because it's going to put me back where I was before. And unfortunately, that is mostly majority of the case. So really trying to find a good place for the price and for the money they have or the money they're making. It's difficult. And personally, for me as a caseworker, because I'll be looking at the apartments and places. I'm like, all right, we can get you here, but it'd be like a very limited spot. And if they don't have a good credit score, that's another situation. If they have a good credit score, if they've been evicted, that's another run-in that we run into. It varies, I'll say. But for the most part, is finding a place outside of where they come from to be able it could be affordable to them.
So if you could, with all those struggles and issues you see on a daily basis these guys face,
Mm-hmm.
you could coach the church today, go into any church in Northeast Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, so what are we supposed to do about all this? Do you have any coaching for them on how they can be more effective in battling homelessness?
I would say yes. One coaching I would give them is encourage, because you have all types of people that goes to church. That could be, if it was people that's realtors, I'd say, hey, give these guys a second chance, give another chance. Same thing with sex offenders. It's like, be wise in what you do when helping them, but also realize it is a soul that's just trying to get back on their feet. And then I would say, far as substance abuse, we're trying to get them housing, is just like, make sure, you have people that over AA meetings, over different meetings and stuff like that, just like, hey, be a help. see where you can be a help in that area. And if you know somebody that can be like, maybe you can't do it, but if you know somebody that can do it, just I'll say, hey, see if you can help them that way. And just bring the resources. Like we have what we have, but there's nothing more. Nothing wrong with more. I'm trying to say.
Do you have any cases that just come to the front of your mind when people ask you about what you do, like success stories, perhaps, that you might even share with the church someday?
Oh yeah, I actually, yes, I can share one real quick.
Yeah, please.
I had this one client who, matter of fact, he's going to be in our next graduation, which is amazing. He came here. Unfortunately, he was here because of substance abuse. His mother passed away, and he was working at working at the post office. I'm about to say UPS, but actually it's post office. He's working at the post office. Had a nice job, and he was doing some stuff on the side, selling drugs on the side, which I don't approve. But I told him that. But he was just trying to make a living. But when his mom passed, he started using the drugs that he was selling, and so he ended up losing, and it was cocaine. He ended up losing his house, ended up losing his car, and then he went to stay with family. And then family was said, okay, we know you're doing drugs, just don't do it in front of our kids. And one night he was doing cocaine, and the kid had to be like 4 years old, walked in, seen him doing it. And so the family was like, all right, you got to go. And so he ended up coming here, and he ended up going through our program, getting clean, all that stuff. And then he went through the program that we're partners with as, I don't know if I can say that, but he went through this program, this partner that we have, where they help guys basically establish themselves and stuff like that, and work in like factory jobs and stuff like that. And so he ended up getting a job at Lincoln Electric and doing well for himself. Just got him an apartment. We was partnered with one of our other people that helped him get furniture in his place, and he's thriving right now. I actually just talked to him last week. He's thriving right now. He just turned 30. And so that I easily one of my go-to stories, because it's just like, I think I'm more grateful that God gave me the opportunity to do this with him and see the light. And like, we're trying to get him back connected to church. That's the only thing I want to do. Trying to get him connected to a church out there where he lives at. But yeah, he's doing amazing right now. So,
well, thanks for your great work again. Eli Parrish, case manager here at the City Mission. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.